And welcome to it's officially day one for the conference. But if you've been connected with me through the 40 days of breakthrough, we are beyond that. We stopped on day 19. So today is officially day one slash day 20. So welcome. Today we are going to kickstart this 10 days. It's 10 days of interviews. 10 has been standing out to me so much, and it means so many powerful things. It's all about bringing things through to completion. I've been thinking about the verse John 10:10, which says, "The thief comes to steal, to kill, and destroy." And Jesus speaks about coming so that we may have life and have it more abundantly. So we're walking in the fullness of what this year has in store for us. And I'm so excited to kickstart it in a way that I just know God's gonna show off. And that's my prayer, that any of you that are tuning in live, that this, or even if you're watching the replay, if you missed it live, that's okay. But I hope that you get everything that you need to get out of this and that it's a blessing to you. And I'm so honored to have powerhouse speakers who are coming on and sharing their stories and willing to just talk about this vision for the Amplify Her 1010 event, where we're just going to dig a bit deeper about 10 topics that you want to be mindful of as you step out into your new year. So today's topic, we are talking about being honest with yourself. And it gets no better than the queen who is in the building today as we talk about this honesty, because I believe she brings out so much in other people, not just women, but women as well, to be confident and to be empowered. And so she has empowered so many to live confidently through peace and financial security. She has graced the stage of Amplify Her events in the past. And I know that she is just a strong person who is packed full of wisdom. And so that's what I'm very excited about. And I say strong because I know sometimes it's hard to encourage others when we ourselves are going through challenges or whatever may be happening. But I know just in the time that I've connected with her, that she is someone that pushes beyond whatever she may need to push beyond so that she can continue to pull others up. So welcome with me, the powerhouse, Dr. Shante. How are you doing today?
I am great. Thank you so much, Erica. You are amazing. You are absolutely amazing.
Yeah, right back to you. And they're going to see what I mean by this. Tell us just a little bit about you. Tell us some of the things, that light you up and that you've been working on in this season.
Oh, I am excited for this year. I say that we are going to have good success. And I want everybody in the audience to actually step into that and believe that. When we say John 10:10, that's what you're starting with. That, Jesus died for us to have this abundant life while we're here on this earth. We don't have to die to get it. So I'm excited about that. But a little bit about my backstory is that, you know, there was a time, and we're going to talk about being honest. There was a time when COVID hit, and I'd gone through a devastating divorce, didn't plan on it, 1 month shy of 30 years. So it was a great divorce. I had empty nest syndrome going on. So there was a void. I lost my job as a theology professor because we were not meeting in person. And I had to sit in God's waiting room with all the uncertainty, with the crisis, with everything that was going on. And I asked, what's the difference? I'm helping so many others, and my business isn't showing the same way I would really want it to. So in the midst of all of that, he said to me, you don't recognize the weight that you carry. You think everybody can do what you do when they can't do what you do. Many people don't go through a divorce. Many people don't lose a child early on, before the age of 11. People haven't gone through those things or even lost loved ones like you have, but yet you pulled yourself up by his word. I'm not going to say by my own bootstraps like we like to, but because of the grounding that I have. And I have this passion to make sure that I empower women no matter what transition they're going through. So I help them reframe their story. They're going through a crisis. I help them reinvent themselves so that they can emerge to be a better version of themselves. And then I help them reimagine their future. So whether they're building a brand business or best-selling book, I'm there for it. And I have the opportunity to do so much with so many, and I absolutely love what I get an opportunity to do. So that's a little bit about my story.
I love it. I love that. Even, just having not even connected for forever, But I felt that, so many things that you've been able to overcome, and that's just so powerful. I want to get into our topic tonight, which is being honest with yourself. And I shared with you the verse already, but you all can see it scrolling, where it says, anyone who listens to the word but does not do what it says is like someone who looks at his face in a mirror and after looking at himself goes away and immediately forgets what he looks like. That's James 1:23-24. And I want to kick started with this because I have a mentor, and I remember her telling this story where she was speaking in front of an audience, and she asked them for directions to a certain space. So she was like, how do you get to, I'll say Raleigh. Shout out to Raleigh if you're from the Carolinas. But how do you get to Raleigh from here? And people started raising their hands and saying, oh, you're going to, or she didn't say from here. She said, how do you get to Raleigh? And they just all started tossing out, oh, you'll get on this highway, you'll get on that, you'll do this. And then she emphasized, hey, I actually never told you what the starting point was. And too often we try to get somewhere, but we don't have that clarity to know where we're even starting so that we can fully function in our gift or wherever God is calling us and go there effectively. So we're trying to get somewhere. We don't know where we're starting. We're looking at what so-and-so did. And what you just said was powerful because they don't know what you've gone through. You don't know what they've gone through. We don't even know. So it's important for us to start, being honest, coming from that place of honesty. And that means a lot of things, but I want to first pass the mic to you. What is that when you hear that verse or even the theme today about being honest with yourself? What does that mean to you?
Well, I'm going to tell you, the name of my company is Heart to Heart Truth Ministries. And I say I help you put feet to your faith so that you can walk victoriously. And it goes along with this. You can't just look in the mirror and then say, oh, I just got faith, but I don't put any action behind it. And, I'll tell you honestly, Erica, at the beginning of this year, many people are not saying it's a happy new year just yet. And when I heard being honest with yourself, I'm like, okay, Lord, you really had to take me through some stuff. So at the beginning of the year, actually on the first day, I felt undervalued. Like other people were undervaluing me. And so there's two different sides that we have to look at. How does somebody else view you and how do you view yourself? So if I'm looking in the mirror, I can't look just the exterior of what other people are saying. And, I tell you, you have to adjust your crown. You have to recognize who God has called you to be, what he has placed on the inside of you. And to be honest, I felt like, hey, I'm defeated. Other people are not recognizing what I brought to the table. And at the same time, the people that I had carried that were co-hosting with me, now you're giving them accolades. Why would I not feel like, wait, hold up? And I thought, okay, I just bypass it. And, part of being truthful, you say, oh, it's okay, never mind. But you really are ruminating on that. And overnight, the next morning, I woke up and I'm like, well, who do I have to go to? And why didn't they not see? And all of this. And it was like, it really hit. But I had to do what I tell everybody else to do. And I'm being straight honest because folks will think, they see you and they think, oh, yeah, you got it all together.
Right.
Oh, well, guess what? You have moments. We all have moments. And don't pretend like you don't. So in my moment, I was sitting there going, all right, I know I carried this person and I know I really should have been the one that they were acknowledging, but they didn't. But that doesn't mean that God didn't acknowledge me. And at the same time, it was like last year I did nothing but affirmations on my YouTube channel. And it was like I had to go back to those affirmations, remembering what God's word said. And it's more than affirmations because they were based on scripture. So they were God's promises or that biblical declaration. I was standing on his promises. Now, just this past year, I lost my mom too. So in the middle of me going down on the 2nd of January, I was like, who do I have to go to? Who's going to encourage me? Because she's not there. She was my biggest encourager. And it was like, wait a minute. Take stock of what you do have. I've got the word of God that I can stand on. So I can adjust my crown. But he says, even though it doesn't look like it used to look, it does not mean that you don't have people there supporting you. And just like it says in 2 Kings, the 4th chapter, where the woman goes to Elisha saying, my husband's dead. And I got these debtors coming and they're going to take my sons. And what am I supposed to do? And he was like, well, what do you have?
Mm,
And she says,
that's it.
nothing but a little bit of oil. You know, we don't see the treasure that we have inside. I appreciated that. So me going, I mean, I did that plumbing. It didn't take me long. And that's the part that I love, is that when we're honest, we can see it. We can see the enemy trying to get in. We can
Hmm.
understand that God's word doesn't say that. And then we can bounce back. We don't have to be like the children of Israel and take 40 years to, instead of going 11 days.
Come
So
on.
all of those things come back to mind. When we look at this, it's like when you look in the mirror, you see what it is, you change your perspective, you see it the way God sees it, and then you move forward.
So much to unpack from that, because it's so good. There was one of the things that you said that really stood out to me, and that's our identity. And
Yes.
when we understand our identity, it's very difficult not to walk in it. But when you don't know who you are, and you don't know whose you are, and you don't know what you're called to, then it's easy, how you said, to discount or shrink back, or not even see that value, and we don't walk in it. So when I think about being honest with myself, and this topic, be honest with yourself, it's understanding, to me, truly God's promises. And I love how you talked about the affirmations, because it's really about standing on his word. And
Yep.
so instead of us allowing this person and that person's opinion and this job promotion and that promotion, what does God's word say about you? If you're going to be honest about anything, be honest that you're fearfully and you're wonderfully made, that he knew you before you were even formed in your mother's womb. All of these, he ordained you. You're called to a purpose, all of these things. But when we fight against that and we forget it, it's easy to start trying to fit into some random mold. Now, one story that you just brought up, which is just my absolute favorite, it's up there in my top two, was the one, what do you have? And when we're honest with ourselves and we talk about where we're starting from, and that's what I talked about, it's easy to feel like, well, I messed up, or some of y'all messed up this morning, some of y'all had a bad day yesterday or a few hours ago. But the thing that was so beautiful, even for that widow woman, even in the middle of her challenges, she was in the middle of it, and he still was able, let me take what you have right now. And I feel like it's such a lie where we can get stuck feeling like, well, because I messed up yesterday, or because I messed up today, or because I fell short, or because I wasn't consistent, or because so and so, was, how you said, the sometimes the comparisons can come in. Because of that, I'm now somehow disqualified, and I no longer can walk in the identity. We're no less our parents' children, or in any other role. We don't just, you made a mistake at work and you don't automatically fire yourself. But somehow when we make a mistake in life, we're no longer God's child. We're no longer his heir. We're no longer, all these things. So I want to just really talk about the story of the widow woman that you brought up, because I think it's so good, where she did a lot of things, Dr. Shante. She did a lot of things in such a good way, that shows that she didn't just know what to do, but it really sums up not just hearing, but doing. So let's kind of unpack that. We'll start with the first thing, where even in the middle, this is what stands out to me. I love your thoughts on it. Even in the middle of challenges and pain and loss, she knew where to turn. That's the first thing. She didn't turn to herself and say, self, what you gonna do today? She didn't, she knew where to turn. So what are your thoughts on that? Like with her, kind of the beginning of her story, what stands out to you the most?
Oh, yeah. She knew who to go to. But here's the thing, we can blow up our self pity balloons. We can have a pity party all day long and we can stay stuck. However, what she did was she said, I have to find somebody who can help bring me out. Now, when I talk to women who are going through divorce, it's easy to hide in the shadows. I was one. I didn't want to talk to anybody, but I knew I needed to separate myself from everybody else who were going to be naysayers, who were going to be down on you. You can even look at like Joseph's story when he told his brothers about what God had revealed to him. You can't tell everybody. That's the first thing. But you have to tell the right somebody who's going to then draw out of you what you need. Now, her eyes, even though she knew who to go to, she was still in that doubt position. She was dealing with death. She was like, woe is me. She's crying her eyes out. Things look so bad. My kids are getting ready to be taken into debt because they have to pay off the debt. And I mean, she was really in a desolate position. Back in that time, women didn't work outside of the home. So her husband dying was like, that was her livelihood. She lost her companionship. She lost everything. And then the debts were there and she didn't know what she was going to do. So we all end up in some of those places where we feel discouraged, we feel depleted, we feel down on ourselves, and we cannot afford to then have that pity party, blowing up those balloons, passing out the cake, giving out invitations, asking for those people who are just going to be down on us. Yeah, girl, you tried and you weren't doing a great job anyway. And yeah, they just only stopped because they were trying to minimize. Some people will try to minimize you too. So let's
Mm-hmm.
be honest. You can't go to everybody. You got friends, or we use that term way too loosely.
Yes.
Let me back up. We have associates that we don't need to go to, but we have ride or die friends that will tell us the truth. So, in the case of going through divorce, I narrowed it down to only two people that I talked to. They were going to be on my side. I had to have an accountability partner because I was not going to allow my ministry, my witness to be diminished. And that's what I told her. I said, my witness still needs to stand. I need to be able to be salt and light no matter what I'm going through. This is just it. The other person was like, I really didn't want this to happen because I didn't want it to happen. I fought against it for 5 years. It wasn't my idea. That was not what I expected in life. But I recognized that. And then I got the information that I needed. So we have to recognize that when we're in a place where we're down on ourselves, sometimes we can't pull ourselves out. Yeah, I can go to affirmations, but everybody is not going to be able to go to scripture and pull those things out. One of the things that God revealed to me when I said to you that I was in his waiting room, like, hey, what's happening? He said, everybody doesn't do what you do. When I'm going through the divorce, I did a Bible study on Proverbs 31 woman. Now, that's not what most people are going to do. But it was natural for me because I'm going to go to the word. I taught theology for 20 plus years. I'm going to the word to make sure that as much as it lied within me, I'm going to live peaceably with all men and I'm not going to have a problem. So we have to know who to turn to. We have to have the right mentors. We have to not just keep sitting back and, twiddling our thumbs, pretending
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, tomorrow it's going to get better. Why waste the time? A lot of people in business will say, hey, I can get you there faster. And you have to think about what is the cost of inaction if I don't do it with them.
Mm.
If they can take me there a lot quicker, let me redeem the time. And so that's a whole lot. I know that I said
Yeah.
on that, but you have to be honest. If you can't do it, find somebody who can move you forward inch by inch if it is just that little bit. But don't just stay stuck just to be staying stuck.
That is so good. I want to take a pause. For those of you that are tuning in right now, I do ask you to share this, tag someone, tell someone. You can go to amplifyher.net/1010 event. It's free to register, but there are some great resources, some additional surprises for those of you that took a second to register. So listen, you said something that was so good. You said a lot of things that were so good, but there's one thing that stands out to me. And you use the reference of Joseph, and I want to continue as well with this. The woman, the widow with the vessels.
Mm-hmm.
You said everybody. You can't tell everybody,
Nope.
and it's tempting. It's tempting to want. I just need a vent. I just need a sounding board. I just gotta tell like it is, and I just gotta stay stuck in this place, and I just gotta vent to any and everyone or go and tell everyone. How did you get to a place, or what advice do you give people? Maybe they're struggling trying to figure out how you said the right person. How do we discern that? Or, how do we find that balance between being silent and then going and seeking out that counsel or that support that we need? How do we find that?
Ooh, that's a loaded question because it really depends on the person.
Mm.
One, I'm going to say your voice matters. And when you recognize that your voice does matter and someone is waiting uncomfortably until you tell them the solution that you have to the problem, all right, you're going to sit in it. They're waiting on you. But if it's you that are in need of that solution, a mentor, the right mentor, is going to lift you up. The right mentor is going to be able to bring out of you the good that is in you and also show you the treasure that is there. So, going back to the widow woman, she goes to Elisha and she's in this desolate type of state. He was the right person because he says to her, "What do you want me to do?" He asks her a question. In other words, I need you to stop looking outside for somebody else to help you. I need you to look inside and identify what you can do. That's why he said, "What do you have in your house?" And then he gives her some words that sounds absolutely crazy. If you're in debt, why would you go borrow? Right? And it doesn't make any sense. So if you have the right mentor, initially it might sound like they don't know what they're talking about, but follow the advice. You have to look at what the results they are getting has already, or what they've already gotten has shown. So if I go to business side, if I am successful and I have done it for others, and you can look at client testimonials or what have you, then I'm not being this pretender. I'm not looking like I'm Instagram fame. You know, I got the Lamborghini and the nice outfits, but I got a tag on the inside because I'm returning that dress as soon as I get off taking those pictures. You want someone who is true, someone who is honest, someone who will tell you their story and not try to sugarcoat it like it's all been great, because it hasn't. Everybody who has gotten to a pinnacle, have gotten to a place of prominence, or have absolutely overcome, they have gone through a down portion. You know, and a lot of times we'll look and say, "Hey, I want what they have," but are you willing to go through what they have gone through?
Mm.
So what that widow woman identifies for us is, we can have a down moment, but if we get the right person in place, we can then turn that around. Whatever they tell us might be crazy, but we got to be willing to submit to them. And it kind of goes back to, I guess the easiest way to say it is, Jesus said, "You will know the tree by the fruit that it bears."
Mm.
Right? So if I'm looking for a person, I'm looking for fruit. I need to be a fruit inspector, right? If they have overcome that, then they can then guide me. If they have not dealt with, and I'm gonna tell you, this is one of my pet peeves. Okay, we done moved into that. There are so many, and I have nothing against the young people today. I love their vision. I love the fact that they want to get out there and do. But if you have not accomplished, if you just read a book and you have no experience, there's not much you can teach someone. Don't tell me that you're going to get me to seven figures when you haven't even started a business. There's a problem there, right? Because the fruit does not bear that you are able to do what you're purporting that you can. So there are too many experts and, too many pretenders out there. We need to recognize that, hey, that's why I love the fact that we're having these couch conversations, like, just to say, hey, I want to be honest. I want to tell you where I've been. I want to tell you the down as well as the up. What have I overcome? What are the years that I have gone through in order to get here? I think that
Mhm.
is so important. And, this year, that's one of the things that I'm doing on my channel. I was like, wait a minute. There's too many out there that are faking it. It's not fake it until you make it any longer. It's, I need you to tell me honestly, hey, you know what? I had a bad day. Okay. How long did it take you to get out of it? It's okay.
Right.
What did you do in order to come out? What tactics did you use? What strategies did you use? And if those strategies line up and I bear witness to that, that's somebody I can listen to.
Right. That's the truth. And when we think about just the honesty, and there's something else I want to transition to, as we only have a few minutes left, and I have no idea how it went by this fast, but I want to, before we close, I think about one of the things, if we kind of fast forward, but you all heard stories in Second Kings, right? It's Second Kings.
Second Kings, the fourth chapter.
Yep, fourth chapter. So read it. because it's good. But when she gets to the point where her sons, they've gathered all the vessels, the oil stops flowing because they stopped gathering, the oil stopped flowing. He didn't say kudos, good job, sit down. Now go sell it. And so I think, and you unpacked it so well. You said that was a loaded question, but you unpacked that thing. Because listen, when we get to that point of now it's time to speak up. Now he was giving her permission. Maybe everyone in the neighborhood, they didn't know what was going on with you, sis. They didn't know this was happening or whatever. But now you have this business. Now you have these vessels. Now I'm telling you, go out, speak up. Don't stop talking. You're going to live off of this for the remainder of your life. You ain't even worried about the debt anymore. So can you, as we close her beautiful story with the synopsis version, can you what are your thoughts when you think about that now, where she got that order to speak up? Now it's time to go do something with all that you gathered.
Yeah, he said, sell what you have, pay off your debt, and live on the rest. In other words, you still need to manage your money well. You need to manage the situation, but there's going to be so much for you to do. So you had to see the treasure within. Once you saw the treasure within, you still need that person or someone in your life, it could be a different person, to then take you to say, now let me help you multiply it. Let me help you leave a legacy. Let me help you make sure that your boys are also a part of this and they know what to do so that you will not be in this position ever again. And so when we look at past years, sometimes we survive. We get used to being average, and we're not trying to live confidently with peace and financial security. Like I like to say, we're not trying to thrive. I'm allergic to average. That is not what I want in life. And I don't think anybody, when they're truly honest with themselves, just want to just barely get by. We want to do exceeding and abundantly above all that we ever hope, ask, or think, because God says it's according to the power that works on the inside of us. He's given us those abilities, but instead, sometimes we sit down on our gift. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. In the parable of the talents, we will judge that young man that buried his gift. Oh, we say, oh, he was so wrong. But how many of us are burying what we have instead of going and gathering the oil, instead of going and gathering the vessels, I should say, and then pouring the oil and keep pouring the oil and expecting that the oil is not going to run out until the vessels run out. The oil did not stop until she had no more vessels. Had she gathered more vessels, she would have had more oil. But then she took it back and said, hey, let me sell this to you. Now it's got oil in it. Now it's more valuable than what you gave to me. I added something to it. And many of us are doing the same thing. You have so much on the inside of you, so much value that you can bring to this world. You weren't created just to exist. You were created to live. You were created to contribute. You were created to do more than you're doing right now. If you are yet still alive, there is still more in you. And so the normal excuses that we have had, let's not have those any longer. Let's not allow somebody else to tell us, oh, you got a few little sheep. No, let's not let them tell us that. Let's not let them tell us that you cannot accomplish. Let's not let others on the outside diminish the shine that we have on the inside. If we're truly honest, and I say this way, take an assessment and inventory of your gifts, what you have done. Now, sometimes other people can see it more than you, but take an assessment first of yourself. Then you can ask those that are closest to you, not the haters, because some people drink a haterade, and they're going to be like, oh, no, I don't think you. I will tell you honestly, I am not going to be the singer. I am not going to lead you in worship. Now, I can lead myself in worship in the shower, but that's about it. You wouldn't want that. However, can I lead you in other ways? I can. I know the gifts that God has given me, and you need to know those too. So, and I'll tell you, when I did, I used to teach a class called Discovering Your Purpose. That was one of the things that we did. It was identifying what your natural talents are, what your spiritual gifts are, what your ministerial gifts are. Take an adequate assessment. When you look at that, you will realize that you've got more that you've been sitting down on than you've been showing up in this world. And you need to be shining brightly. You can then ask somebody outside. When you do that, now you've got a record. Now you've got some oil. Now you can say, this is the vessel that God has created me to be, because he says he created me for good. His future plans for me are good and not evil.
Mm,
And so I've got this wonderful thing I need to then share with the world. Now I might need to ask God, how would you like me to share it? But if you don't know you have it, you won't share it.
absolutely. Absolutely. So I want you to share. This has been so good. Because you never know where things are going to flow, but I feel like you just threaded this together just so beautifully. And as we think about that, just being honest with ourselves, I want to reemphasize, if you're watching right now, we have 10 days. So go to amplifyher.net/1010 event so that you can register. You can watch, even if you don't register. Spoiler alert, you still can catch the streams. But if you register, I'm going to be sending out some fun bonus resources. But I really want to hone in on this, because as we start this year, what I got from your message today and what we've been talking about is that we have to come from that place of grace for ourselves, because from that place of grace, that's the only way we're really going to be able to get back up and continue. And I love so much of your message about shining. And I always ask you for the crown and
You
all
know
of
I
those
got my
things.
crown ready. I always have a
Yeah.
crown ready. Always.
Yes. So can you tell us, how can we get connected with you? What's the best next step for those that want to learn a little more about what you do as well?
Oh, I absolutely love that. And I thank you for this opportunity. First, let me just say, Erica, you do a fantastic job of bringing the right people on for your audience. And I appreciate you for what you do. But if you guys want to get in touch with me, there are so many ways that you can. But here's what I'm going to suggest, because this topic today was multivariate. And I work with women that are going through different transitions. So for me to be able to tell you the next best step for you, I would say just go to my website, shantayhaynes.com/vision, and go ahead and schedule that vision breakthrough strategy session. So whether you're going through a divorce, whether you've overcome that and you're in that survival mode, but you need the spiritual enrichment, the mental stimulation, as well as the financial literacy, or if you're doing the business side, I would be able to direct you more appropriately for that. Don't sit in the dark. Don't pretend like everything is okay and you don't need assistance. I'm going to encourage you. I said at the very beginning, I felt like I didn't know what was happening. And I would say, I feel like I was flying in the air without an airplane. There was a whole lot of turbulence, and I listed some of that turbulence. But at this juncture, my plane has landed, and I believe yours will too. But you've got to get on board first. You've got to then contact me and make sure that you know. So check out my website, shantayhaynes.com. You see it on the screen. So go ahead, go there. But if you want to go ahead and schedule that vision breakthrough strategy session /vision, and you'll get a chance to talk with me.
I love it. Thank you so much for being here to kick off day one with me. This has been phenomenal. And if you're watching, again, I can't emphasize enough that I believe that God is calling us to a place of order and discipline. And these words don't sound so fun all the time, but if you're ready to truly walk into authority and know and have an understanding of what you are being called to, I truly believe Matthew 6:33, seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all that you have need of will be added to you. But we
Yes.
see that core foundation, and I truly believe this, it starts with God and
Oh, yeah.
understanding your identity and who you are and what you're called to. And he's cleaning up some stuff. That I believe 2025 is going to be the great cleanup. We getting cleaned up, we getting the chaos out, and it doesn't matter what you were doing 20 minutes ago. He cleaning it up. So I'm just glad that you all were able to tune in. It's not by happenstance or coincidence. So tune in tomorrow. We are on day 2 tomorrow. 10
Yes.
days, 10 interviews. And again, Dr. Haynes, you are a gem. You are a crown. You are a queen. And I appreciate you for taking time to kick off day one. I'm already on day 10 to kick off day one. So thank you.
All right. Loving it. Did
Yeah.
you want to tell them the topic for tomorrow?
I would tell them the topic for tomorrow, but I'm going to be honest with myself. I don't remember what day 2 is off the top of my head,
That's
but
okay.
just be
And I'm
ready.
just going to say, come and hear, Because if we
Yes.
started with being honest, tomorrow is going to be oh so much more. It's going to keep digging deeper every single day. So do not
Yes.
sit down on this, because I know there's some powerhouses. I got a chance to meet them as well. So
Yes.
you're going to want to hear from everybody that's up here today. Yes.
Yes, and I'm gonna take it as each day is a surprise. So I'm glad you said each day is a surprise. You got to tune in to know
Got to tune
what
in.
we'll be talking about. But thank you again. Thank you for those of you who have watched, who have shared. I see you getting connected. It's not too late to drop some comments, and if you have questions, we'll be coming back to it. So take care, and I will see you all tomorrow for day 2.